This is Remote Daily, your daily dose of inspiration. This is Remote Daily, an oasis of innovation for your mind, your soul, your heart. Connect, act, and recharge with Remote Daily. This is Remote Daily.
Wow, please sing and clap for our guest of today, Gap Inc. Senior Director of Talent Management, Learning and Development. It's an honor to have you on Remote Daily. Welcome, Beth Messich. Beth, great to see you.
Thank you so much.
How is Beth's soul today? How is your inner feeling today?
Today is good. I do think, in COVID, it's a day by day, moment by moment check-in, but yeah, today is good. Thank you.
Thank you for being here and taking the time. Usually you design, implement learning curriculums that have enhanced the skill sets of thousands of people at HQ and field retail at Gap Inc. now. And just to jump into the middle of it, I'll share my screen here because retail is hurting like never before. This was the announcement that shook you and many others. Please share with us, Beth, how profoundly this moment in late April, when these news came out, hit the department you're leading or you're a leader in.
Yeah, so my team has been part of the broader talent management team in Gap Inc. And so that was myself and 10 other people, so 11 of us. And in the reorganization that happened back in May, my team was essentially dissolved. So 5 of us, self-included, job was eliminated. I had one other person who was sort of tucked into another part of the organization, but was put on furlough immediately and is still currently on furlough. And then the other 5 people were sort of dispersed to different parts of the organization. So I am still with the company through the end of the summer, at least, owning the behavioral change plan for Gap brand. But it was a significant change for all of us, no question.
And I want to give a shout out to, I think Catherine has joined us from your team. Thank you, Catherine, for joining us for this conversation. It's great to have some people in the room here who work with you, have been working with you. So when you went through this very, very tough moment, and I'm so grateful that you're here to share some of the challenges that you faced, what was your strategy, your choice of words for telling your team that, well, jobs were ending, significantly changing, and the entire team was effectively dissolving, of course, all via Zoom?
Yeah, I mean, I think this, there just aren't right words for this, right? But I think what was incredibly helpful in this moment was for those of us on the team, we had been together as a team anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on the when people join. And we, over time, had really spent a lot of time as a team, in not just work meetings, but in team building sessions and learning about one another. And since the start of COVID, we had put a few things in place. We did, I randomly started daily challenges, which, be careful what you wish for, because then did that for 3 months, where it was literally everything from, okay, what was your childhood obsession? Tell us about it, to we found a weird app to make ourselves into artwork, and it was just a way to connect daily. And then, weekly we had people lead a different learning session each Friday. So we really built a foundation of, we weren't just a team that sat on an org chart. We were a team of people who chose to be a team. And so it was a day of individual conversations, because I had to talk to everyone individually about themselves.
And you did that all on one day?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
wow.
You had to tell everyone about themselves, but couldn't tell them what happened to anybody else. And then we pulled together at the end of the day to say, so you all know what happened to you. Let's talk about what's happened to the team, which I think was a really sobering moment for everyone. And also had to tell them, and by the way, my job was eliminated at that point, which, I think the thing that I would say is I was incredibly humbled by the grace with which people showed up. Everyone has their own emotional reaction, of course, and however you feel like you're going to react when you hear your job's been eliminated or you're moving to a different team, I don't think it prepares you for the moment. But to a person, every single person expressed gratitude, which was incredibly humbling in that moment, because when someone says your job has been eliminated and the response is thank you for the team that we've had, that's not a typical reaction, and was and frankly was how I was able to sustain myself throughout the day.
Thank you for sharing this. And now please take us to a magical date, I think, for your team, May 21st this year, of course. And I'll share a Zoom screenshot here first, so that people can understand, and that you can walk us through really what happened that day, and just let us participate in what you came up with. What did you decide to do with your former team on May 21st?
So typically when someone leaves the team, it's a person is leaving, right? And so you do a happy hour or a Zoom happy hour, right? This was literally the entire team was dissolving as a unit. And so in talking to my leaders on the team, we wanted to really honor that. And so we decided to do a team graduation. And so this is our graduation photo. Everyone contributed. So someone instituted a red carpet dress code, hence the appearance of many of us on the screen, some of us wearing fascinators. We had someone from an executive from HR come in and share just their appreciation for the team. We had an external person that we work with do a commencement address. We had someone from the team lead an amazing individual appreciation. We had someone who did a team playlist for us, because that's his skill set. We had someone else who did a senior slideshow, because that's what he wanted to do. And then someone else put together a senior page and individual diplomas for each of us, which, so this you can see is the crazy wig photos was part of one of our daily challenges, right? And it was really just a way to come together and acknowledge and appreciate one another. And the thing that I will say is, there are many things that I'm proud of at my career at Gap Inc., but this team is one of the biggest points of pride for me, not because of anything that I've done, but because of how they've came together as individuals. Like, they're all very different people with different skill sets, but we're able to find what was unique and special about one another and actually appreciate one another for that, rather than it being something that pushed people together. It brought them together, or pushed people apart. It brought them together. And this graduation didn't happen because I had an idea sitting here on my couch. This graduation happened because the team wanted to come together to honor the experience.
And here, as a last share, we see the prestigious diploma that was awarded to you as well on that day.
Someone on my team did these, so she has amazing graphic skills. So
Yes, what a way, and what a way of coping, what a way of getting together. I think this is a beautiful example for leadership, but also for teamwork in such a tricky and challenging and also sad time that you all went through. So thank you for sharing this with us. Sure. And, for the second half of our conversation, I really wanted to take some time to dive into understanding you as a leader and why you did all this, like how you created this journey for your team. And you shared with me when we spoke that you went through an executive leadership coaching program at Georgetown last year. And you told me you basically went back, reread all your notes over the last couple of weeks, and some of them became kind of like a guiding principle for you in this time. And you were so generous to share or distill main learnings from your notes for us, so we can have a look at them together. So I'll just bring that up on the screen here. Maybe let's take a minute and walk through this point by point. Please walk us through, Beth.
Yeah, so the program at Georgetown, for any of you who are not familiar, is it actually sits in their transformation, their Center for Transformational Leadership. And so the focus really is on transformation. And that's what, there are many great coaching programs. That's what really attracted me to Georgetown. And so you learn coaching. I put formal learning around things I'd sort of been coaching without a license, so to speak, for years, and I put the formal learning around it. But there's a tremendous amount of introspection and self-development that happens. And as I was combing through my notes, these are the things that have really come to be guiding principles for me, not because I, framed them and put them on the wall, but because I internalized them and just started to use them as my way of operating. So, that how you move through space reflects the way you move through life became really, really clear for me during the pandemic when, when we were all came to the lockdown. I made a point of doing a daily, if not 2 daily walks around my neighborhood. And I've lived here for almost 9 years. And I didn't know I had
You're in Harlem, right?
I'm in Harlem. I'm in West Harlem.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize like the parts of my neighborhood that frankly are not that far from where I live that I never saw. And I really reflected. I'm like, I've been spending the past 8 years going back and forth to the subway. A gross exaggeration, but not that much of one, right? And so the fact that I've moved so quickly that I missed the things that could be enriching my life, I think was really important. I think that idea of over time, we've learned to identify with our limits has been really interesting. So I think we have ways that we articulate who we are that can be helpful. And in some ways they can actually put us in boxes that we don't intend to be in, right? And so I think at the beginning, I said, I'm a closet optimist. Like I've always said, not so much that I'm a pessimist, but that I'm a realist. But the reality is I actually am.
Which is what all pessimists say, by the way, right?
I know. Yes, I know it's the default. Like I'm not pessimistic, I'm realistic, right? Yeah, that's the MO. But the reality is I'm a closet optimist, and I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. This idea, if you want to change your thinking. If you think the same way but try to behave differently, you're not going to get a different result. And again, I think I've really put that into practice. And I think, this be careful of the declaration that you make because the universe will conspire to make it happen. Like when you put out into the world that you want something, that's your intention. So be careful what you say. And then just quickly, those last 2 things, like you wake up every day with a choice to live in gratitude or resentment and be generous, whatever that means in the moment. I think that's how that has been one of the biggest shifts for me in the past couple of years in terms of how I lead, that, not every experience is going to be the one that you would have asked for, but what can you actually take from it? I mean, there's a tremendous amount that I've learned in the last 4 months. It might have been easier to read about it in a book, but, being able to embrace those things and find the positivity in them is really important. And being generous with yourself and others, that leading with more empathy and just leading more from the heart and not getting so stuck in the head has been personally transformative.
And you just said you changed your style of leadership. And of course, the headline of the conversation today is balancing the head with the heart. So where would you put yourself on that balance now?
Yeah, I would say it actually is more of a balance now. I sort of grew up in that at work, you're professional and like you have friendly relationships, but you make sure that they're in certain boxes. And the reality is in this environment, it is just not, it's not practical to say that when someone's sitting, having a Zoom call with you and their kid's trying to do their Zoom learning and they're in a space that's roughly, 3 inches bigger than the screen that you're seeing me in. And this has been the idea that we need to create space for people to deal with what's happening in their entire lives so that they can come as a whole person is incredibly important. And so I think that traditional way of, you're professional at work and then you have your life in this time that's outside of work. By the way, the idea that I don't know anybody who works 9 to 5 and it's contained within these 40 hours. Work spills everywhere. The idea that life doesn't spill in everywhere I just don't think practical. So I think I am much more, rather than being, it's this or it's this, it is, a little bit of a fluctuation. Is it more the head or the heart? But they're both there. And it's just, I think it's led me to be just a more empathetic leader.
And for everybody who would like to who thinks maybe they live too much in their head and would like to learn to lead more with the heart, where would you suggest to start that journey?
You know, I think it's one of those things you have to be ready for it. You know, when I was looking at the Georgetown program, I was ready for something different. Like intellectually, I was getting to a certain place, but it was a little too flat. There was something that was missing. And so I think leading from the heart also means you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to be transparent. You have to, you know, leading from the heart doesn't mean you're always going to feel it's going to be warm and fuzzy and wonderful. There are times when that's going to be painful, or you have to do, I mean, I didn't want to eliminate the jobs on my team. So how do I come to that with a sense of empathy that was about the person and not about me, that creates space for people to be able to have the feelings that they're feeling and be able to express what they need to express in a productive way, in a way that they feel heard. You know, it's not about, leading from the heart isn't also about making everything okay for everyone. Like, I can't make everything okay for myself. How can I make it okay for everyone else? But it is about creating the space for people to be who they are, to respect that and honor that, and to also just allow them the grace to not always be the professional face that, you know, shows up perfectly every day.
Thank you. And we just got questions in the chat here to share the name of the program. We'll do that in a second, of course. And you also get a lot of praise here from so many of people in this community who have experienced in some way or the other a disruption, a major disruption over the last couple of months, and maybe had wished for a leader like you. So thank you for showing up like that. Now, as you are in the field of learning and development, as you know, creating frameworks for people to basically move forward inside of organizations, what do you think is 2021 going to look like? Like, what are the major changes you expect, or you maybe hope to happen until then in your field?
Yeah, you know, I think a couple of things. What the COVID situation has forced us to do is to be more nimble and agile, and to be less polished and perfectionistic. And I actually think the polished and the perfect, if you want to put something on a shelf or frame it and stick it on your wall, is great. If you want to have a way to actually have an engaging, interactive co-creation of learning, that's going to be much more beneficial, right? So I'm owning the behavioral change plan for Gap brand right now. And so we put together 5 sessions that we invited literally the entire brand to, that were an hour each. You know, my colleague and I worked on these together. They were not perfect. They were high. And how do you get interactive? We had 300 people at least on each of these. And what we found is it wasn't about having the perfect deck. It was about having this moment. We were talking about skills that people need right now, meeting people where they are right now. And this idea that you can't be interactive in a virtual environment, even with that number of people, got blown out of the water. The amount of people in chat, the way that people were interacting, the way that they came up to us virtually afterwards or reached out to us. Like, I feel like we did more work in those 5 weeks than we did in the past 2 years to move people's behavioral change forward. So I think it's that. And I think it is this idea of learning is also about connection. So it's about learning from one another. So the push out or the present out, there's a place for that, right? Like, if you're training someone in something technical, yeah, like, it's not about input, it's about actually being able to present. But there's so much collective learning that can happen. So environments like this, where you're bringing together, in some cases, disparate groups of people that can share, that I think is the future of learning, because it meets so many different needs for people.
Very, very interesting. Thank you. And maybe to ask one more question about, you know, 2021. Let's predict there is this cracking open that you just talked about in how we talk about work, that was fueled by us being in our homes and being in a maybe more safe and vulnerable setting in a very, very vulnerable time. What is a conversation that you would like to lead in 2021?
Yeah, I think it is this conversation around leadership and what leadership means. I think, you know, we think about this leader as like the person at the front with the strategy and the vision, and we need that, right? But in the day-to-day, I think oftentimes people are promoted based on what they're technically good at, right? And not because they've demonstrated leadership skills. So we promote them because they're technically good, and then we hope they're good leaders and we give them people to lead. And so And then leadership becomes the thing that you do in addition to all the tactical stuff. The reality is, particularly as you get more and more senior, the tactical stuff, and it's not about being above it, it's about you are in a different position, right? The tactical stuff, how do you help your team grow through learning to do those tactical things that you used to do? But then how do you spend your time on actually leading? And leading is one-on-one conversations, it's team conversations, it's cross-functional conversations. Mm-hmm. The greatest resource any of us have is our time. And I don't know about anybody else, but I am not lacking for meetings in my life. I can find a pickup meeting anytime I want to. They're happening all over the place. But being able to say, like, I'm prioritizing my time to spend it with my direct report or my skip level direct report or with the team, there's real power in that. And that's where actually you're building bench, you're growing people, you're giving them career paths. And that's ultimately what's going to bring an organization forward and going to bring people forward. So I want that to be more of the conversation. Right now it's tempting to scramble on the tactical. I've rarely seen people not be effective in roles because of tactical skills. It's almost always leadership.
Felix, you're on mute.
I guess my mic just gave up, so I apologize. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Thank you. You get a lot of praise here in the chat from people from very large organizations like BMW and Pepsi, but also from freelancers and other people who are part of our community who really highlight your fresh perspectives. And Elena wraps it up here saying, my key takeaway, you decide how you treat people around you, not your company. It's within your field of influence. However, then Eileen says, well, what if you have another leader that you have to deal with who has like super strict boundaries and doesn't open up? So maybe as a final question for all of us who want to lead differently, what do you do with the people that you feel like are in your way because they follow maybe a more 2019 model?
Yeah. I would offer two things there. The first one really is you need to meet people where they are. Just because this may be an approach you want to take, it may not be what someone else wants to take. And that may require a little bit of chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And it may be setting the example. It may be creating the space for them. I think it's meet them where they are and try to move them by inches as opposed to by miles. And acknowledge that not everyone's going to want to make that move or be able to make that move right now. Don't let it be something that stops you, which I think then goes to my second point, which is, I think collaboration is hugely important. I do want to align to broader objectives, all of those things. But and I've never been this person, but the last 4 months have definitely made me this person, which is, that whole idea of like, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. I'm kind of not asking for either at this point. Like I trust that I know what to do as a leader. It's not always going to be right. I'm not always going to get it right, but I've always got the right intention, and that I have faith in that. And that's how I choose to lead. And if I get direction or feedback otherwise, I'm happy to entertain the conversation, but it's more important to me that I'm doing what is authentic to me and authentic to my team. And I haven't found a lot of pushback in that.